Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers with your host, Bang and Dang. Bang here, Dang to my right. And we're back for a pretty brutal case here tonight. Everybody knows it. Everybody was enthralled by it in 1995, or 94, I should say. White Bronco, blood. I think you got it by now. O.J. Simpson. That's right. We don't do really too many murder cases like this, but it didn't fit in with the upcoming serial killer series or show that we're going to do down the line. So figured might as well get it out of the way here, and it's pretty damn interesting. Captured the nation, obviously.
This is probably the only trial that I've actually seen my whole family sitting down watching.
Yeah, 100% the verdict.
Right.
Everybody sat down, dude. It was like the verdict of this. It was like a global phenomenon, dude. Everybody was
Crazy.
Like sitting down, must-see.
Must-see TV.
Crazy. Obviously, you know what we're talking about. O.J. Simpson allegedly murdered his wife, Nicole Brown, and a waiter that may or may not have been her boyfriend, Ron Goldman. And pretty grisly murder, especially on her part. Oh, what happened to her? It's just...
Right. That was rough.
Nicole Brown met O.J. Simpson in 1977 when she was 18 and working as a waitress at the Daisy, which is a Beverly Hills private club. They began dating even though Simpson was already married. Well, there's your first sign. Simpson filed for divorce from his first wife in March of 79 and married Brown on February 2nd, 1985.
Wow, jeez.
Brown and Simpson went on to have two children, Sydney, born in 1985, and Justin, born in 88. According to Dr. Lenore Walker, the Simpson-Brown marriage was a textbook example of domestic abuse.
Oh, wow.
Already.
Dang. Brown signed a prenuptial agreement, was prohibited from working while married. She wrote that she felt conflicted about notifying the police of the abuse because she was financially dependent on Simpson.
Right, that's why he did it.
Right. Brown described an incident in which Simpson broke her arm during a fight.
Jeez.
In order to prevent him from being arrested, she told emergency room staff that she had fallen off her bike. Oh, wow.
That's the old fell and hit the doorknob story, huh? She wrote about him beating her in public during sex and even in front of family and friends. Why didn't none of them say anything?
Dang, during sex?
Up to 62 incidents of abuse.
Dang.
The police were notified only 8 times, and Simpson was arrested once. February 25th, 1992, Brown filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, obviously.
Right.
Brown said that Simpson stalked and harassed her after they divorced, an intimidation tactic meant to force the victim to return to the abuser.
Wow.
He was like, you better come with me.
She documented an incident in which she spied on her having sex with her new boyfriend.
Weird.
Well, afterwards, Brown said she felt her life was in danger because Simpson had threatened to kill her if he ever found her with another man.
But he did.
Right. So she drafted a will.
Wow.
Brown telephoned Sojourn,
I guess.
as a women's shelter on the 8th of June in 1994.
She was considering staying at the shelter because she was afraid of what Simpson might do to her, as she was refusing his pleas to reconcile their marriage, and had reported a set of keys missing from her house a few weeks earlier, which were later found on Simpson when he was arrested.
Oh, no.
For the murders. So,
Wow.
you can't be having the key on you, guy.
Right. A few months before the murders, O.J. completed a film pilot for Frogmen, an adventure series similar to the A-Team. Simpson played the lead role of Bullfrog Burke, who led a group of former U.S. Navy SEALs. He received a fair amount of military training, and including using a knife. Oh, jeez. And holds a knife to the throat of a woman playing the role of his daughter in one scene. Dang, now they're like, you're pretty good at domestic violence, right? So this scene will work well for you.
I'm wondering what the hell the scene was about that he has to hold a knife to his daughter's neck.
Right. A 25-minute tape of the pilot, which did not include the knife scene, was found by investigators and watched on Simpson's television as they searched the home.
Well, so they popped it in. Like, oh, might as well watch this.
Right.
Wow.
Dang, this would have been a good series.
Right. The defense, if only he would hold a knife to someone's neck. The defense tried to block its use on these grounds, but Judge Ito allowed the tape to be shown. However, the prosecution never introduced it as evidence during the trial. Why would they?
Right.
It was reported that... Well, this is stupid, anyways. It was reported that among the skills of the character of Bullfrog Burke was night killings.
Oh, jeez.
And the silent kill technique of slashing the throat.
Oh.
And that SEALs regularly wear knit watch caps like the one found at the scene.
Oh, jeez. This dude just played he played his character.
Well, apparently the prosecution didn't think it was too important because they didn't even have it in evidence.
On the evening of June 12th, 1994, Brown and Simpson both attended their daughter Sydney's dance recital at Paul Revere Middle School. Why would it be at Paul Revere Middle School in California?
What?
Afterwards, Brown and her family went to eat at a Mezzaluna restaurant. They did not invite Simpson to join them.
Why would they?
One of the waiters at the restaurant was Ron Goldman, who had become close friends with Brown in recent weeks, but was not assigned to the Brown's family table. Okay.
Well, Brown and her children then went to Ben & Jerry's before returning to Brown's condominium in Bundy Drive, Brentwood.
Uh-oh.
The manager of Mezzaluna recounted that Brown's mother telephoned the restaurant at 9:37 p.m. about a pair of lost eyeglasses. The manager found the glasses, put them in a white envelope, which Goldman took with him as he left the restaurant at the end of his shift at 9:50, intending to drop it off at Brown's place.
Okay. I get it. Close friends. I'll drop them off.
Right.
Meanwhile, Simpson ate takeout food from McDonald's with Kato Kalin,
Oh, jeez.
a bit part actor and family friend who had been given the use of the guest house of Simpson's estate. Rumors circulated that Simpson had been on drugs at the time of the moita. The New York Post's Cindy Adams reported that the pair had actually gone to a local Burger King instead of doesn't matter, where I guess it might, right? Where a prominent drug dealer known as JR had admitted to selling them crystal meth. Oh, got OJ on crystal meth?
High on crystal, huh? Brown's neighbors testified that they heard profuse barking coming from outside throughout the night, beginning around 10:15. Around 10:55, a dog walker who lived a few blocks away from Brown came across Brown's Akita dog barking in the street outside her home. The Akita, whose legs were covered in blood, followed the man home. He tried to walk the dog back to where he found it, but the dog resisted.
All right.
Later on, he left the Akita with a neighboring couple who offered to keep the dog overnight. As the dog was agitated, the couple decided to walk it back to where it had been found.
Right.
This dog won't stop barking. He's trying to alert you guys of what the hell just happened here.
Jeez, oh, Pete. Around midnight, as they reached the area where the Akita had been found, the dog stopped outside Brown's home, and the couple saw Brown's body lying outside the house. Police were called to the scene and found Goldman's body near Brown's. The front door to Brown's condominium was open when the bodies were found, but there are no signs that anyone had entered the building by breaking in or otherwise. Brown's body was laying face down, barefoot, at the bottom of the stairs leading to the door.
The walkway leading to the stairs was covered in blood, but the soles of Brown's feet were clean. Based on this evidence, investigators concluded that she was the first person to be killed and the intended target.
Right.
She had been stabbed multiple times in the head and neck.
Oh, jeez.
But there were a few defensive wounds on her hands, implying a short struggle to investigators.
In the head?
Yeah. It probably was just swinging, dude.
Right.
The final wound inflicted ran deep into her neck, severing her carotid artery. A large bruise in the center of her upper back with a corresponding footprint on her clothing indicated to investigators that, after killing Goldman, the assailant returned to Brown's body, stood on her back, pulled her head back by the hair, and slit her throat.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Her larynx could be seen through the gaping wound in her neck. Vertebrae C3 was incised.
Oh, jeez, dude. That was deep.
Brown's head barely remained attached to her body.
Oh, my goodness.
Goldman's body lay nearby, close to a tree and the fence. He had been stabbed multiple times in the body and neck, but there were relatively few defensive wounds on his hands, signifying a short struggle to investigators. Yeah, he was moited first. He's the man. You got to get rid of him. Like, quick.
Oh, he wasn't murdered first.
Yeah, it had to be. He had to be murdered first.
They just said.
I know, that's what they think. Leaving to believe. What was this guy doing while he was murdering Nicole? Just watching.
Maybe he showed up in the aftermath.
Forensic evidence from L.A. County coroner alleged that the assailant stabbed Goldman with one hand while holding him in a chokehold.
Jeez.
Wow.
Near Goldman's body were a blue knit cap, a left-hand, extra-large Eris isotoner light leather glove, the old famous glove,
Right.
and the envelope containing the glasses that he was returning. Detectives determined that Goldman came to Nicole's house during her killing and that the killer killed him to silence Goldman and remove any witnesses. A trail of the assailant's bloody shoe prints ran through the back gate. To the left of some of the prints were drops of blood from the assailant, who was apparently bleeding from the left hand.
Uh-oh.
Measuring the distance between the prints indicated that the assailant walked rather than ran away from the scene.
So they had blood from the murderer
nonchalantly just walked away after he just brutally murdered these two.
Was OJ's hand cut?
We're about to see that, won't we?
Right. On the night of June 12th, Simpson was scheduled to board a red-eye flight from L.A. International Airport to Chicago, where he was due to play golf the following day at the convention with representatives of Hertz Rental Car Corporation, for whom he was a spokesperson. The flight was due to leave at 11:45, and a limousine arrived early at Simpson's Rockingham estate to pick him up at around 10:25 p.m. The limousine driver drove around to the estate to make sure he could navigate the area with the stretched limo properly and to see which driveway would have the best access for the limo. Okay.
Right. He began to buzz the intercom at 10:40, getting no response. He noted the house was dark and nobody appeared to be home as he smoked a cigarette and made several calls to his boss to get Simpson's home phone number. He testified that at one point he saw a figure the same size as Simpson enter the house through the front door from where the driveway starts before the lights came on. He did not see what direction the figure came from, though.
Okay. Well, he testified that he saw Simpson's house number on the curb outside the estate, but no car was parked there. The prosecution presented exhibits showing the position next to the house number on the curb in which Simpson's Ford Bronco was found the next morning, implying that the limousine driver would surely have noticed the Bronco if it had been there when he arrived to pick up Simpson.
Right. How do you not notice a white Bronco?
Right.
Around the time the limousine driver witnessed a shadowy figure head towards the south walkway where the bloody glove would later be found, Cato Kaline was having a telephone conversation with a friend. At approximately 10:40, something crashed into the wall of his guest house, which he described as 3 thumps, and which he feared was an earthquake. Kaline hung up the phone and ventured outside to investigate the noises, but did not go directly down the dark south pathway. He was like, no, man, from which the thumps had originated. He's like, I ain't coming down there.
No. Instead, though, he walked in front of the property, where he saw the limousine parked outside. Kaline let the limousine in. Simpson finally came out through the front door a few minutes later, claiming he had overslept. Both the limousine driver and Kaline would later testify that Simpson seemed agitated that night. Well, some people are when they first wake up.
Yeah.
The limo driver noted that on the way to the airport, OJ complained about how hot it was. He was sweating and he rolled down the window, despite it not being a warm night.
Some people get hot, man.
Right, jeez.
The driver also testified that he loaded 4 luggage bags into the car that night, one of them being a knapsack that Simpson would not let him touch, insisting he loaded himself.
Okay, a knapsack.
A porter at the airport testified that Simpson only checked 3 bags that night. Oh. And the police determined that the missing luggage was the same knapsack that the limo driver had mentioned earlier. What you do with the knapsack, OJ?
Oh, no. Another witness not heard at the trial claimed he saw Simpson at the airport discarding items from a bag into a trash can.
Oh, sure.
Did it look like a knapsack? You
Right.
know what? It did. Detective Tommy Lange and Philip Van Natter believe this is how the murder weapon, the shoes, clothes that Simpson wore during the murder were disposed.
Couldn't they check?
Right.
I guess it's too late now, but...
A passenger on the plane and the pilot testified to not noticing any cuts or wounds on Simpson's hands. A broken glass, a note with the telephone number on it, and bed sheets with blood on them were all recovered from Simpson's room at O'Hare Plaza Hotel. Oh, broken glass.
Wow.
The manager of the hotel recalled Simpson asking for a Band-Aid for his finger at the front desk because he had cut it on pieces of note paper.
So what's up with the broken glass?
Right.
This makes no sense.
He looks guilty in that picture.
He just always looks guilty. Hey, Twitter world. After learning that Brown was the female victim, LAPD Commander Keith Bushy ordered detectives Tom Lange, Philip Vanatter, Ron Phillips, and Mark Furman to notify Simpson of her death and to escort him to the police station to pick up the former couple's children who were asleep in the condominium at the time of the murders. Jeez.
Wow.
The detectives buzzed the intercom at Simpson's estate for over 30 minutes but received no response. They didn't have his number.
All right.
Where was Kaline?
Right. They noted that Simpson's car was parked at an awkward angle, with its back end out more than the front, and that there was blood on the door, which they feared meant someone inside might be hurt. Vanatter instructed Furman to scale the wall and unlock the gate to allow the other 3 detectives to enter. The detectives would argue they entered without a search warrant because of exigent circumstances. Well, obviously, when they see blood.
Right.
Specifically out of fear that someone inside might be injured.
Right. You just don't have blood on the car
Right.
for no reason.
Makes sense.
Furman briefly interviewed Kaline, who told the detective that the car belonged to Simpson and that earlier that night he had heard thumps on his wall.
Uh-oh.
In a walk around the premises to inspect what may have caused the thumps, Furman discovered a blood-stained right-hand glove. Right hand, though. Oh, so the left one was already at the scene. Right. Which was determined to be the mate of the left-hand glove found next to the body of Goldman.
Wow. So they found one there and in Simpson's property?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This evidence was determined to be probable cause to issue an arrest warrant for Simpson.
Right.
Why didn't they do it for K-Line? It was behind his guest house.
I think they both got arrested at one point. Phillips testified, probably not though. Phillips testified that when he called Simpson in Chicago to tell him of Brown's murder, Simpson sounded very upset, but was oddly unconcerned about the circumstances of her death. Phillips noted that Simpson only asked if the children had seen the murder or Brown's body. I mean, that's a legitimate question.
Right.
But was not concerned about whether the assailant had harmed the children either. The police contacted Simpson at his home on 13th of June and took him to Parker Center for questioning.
Well, Lang noticed that Simpson had a cut on his finger on his left hand that was consistent with where the killer was bleeding from. Well, they didn't know where he was bleeding from. And asked Simpson how he got the cut. At first, he claimed he cut his finger accidentally while in Chicago after learning of Brown's death. Lange then informed Simpson that blood was found inside his car. At this point, Simpson admitted that he cut his finger on June 12th, but said he did not remember how.
Oh, no. There's enough evidence right there to convict any man in the United States.
Yeah.
Wow. He voluntarily gave some of his own blood for comparison with evidence collected at the crime scene and was released. 14th of June, Simpson hired lawyer Robert Shapiro, who began assembling Simpson's team of lawyers, referred to as the Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Shapiro noted that an increasingly distraught Simpson had begun treatment for depression. The following days, preliminary results from DNA testing came back with matches to Simpson, but the district attorney delayed filing charges until all the results had come back. Simpson spent the night between June 16th and 17th at San Fernando Valley home of friend Robert Kardashian. That's how Kim Kardashian was born.
No, it was Chloe.
Shapiro asked several doctors to attend Simpson's purported fragile mental state.
Did they test only the blood on the Bronco at this point, or did they test the blood at the crime scene, too?
They tested at the crime scene.
Because if they tested it at the crime scene and it came back a match for him,
Right.
he should have immediately been in jail.
Immediately.
On June 17th, detectives recommended that Simpson be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstance of multiple killings after the final DNA results came back.
Right.
LAPD notified Shapiro at 8:30 a.m. that Simpson would have to turn himself in that day. At 9:30 a.m., Shapiro went to Kardashian's home to tell Simpson that he would have to turn himself in by 11, an hour after the murder charges were filed.
Jeez.
Simpson told Shapiro that he wanted to turn himself in, to which the police agreed, believing that someone as famous as Simpson would not attempt to flee. Right, where's he going to go?
Right. Well, the police agreed to delay Simpson's surrender until noon the next day to allow him to be seen by a mental health specialist, as he was showing signs of suicidal depression. He had updated his will, called his mother and children, written 3 sealed letters, 1 to his children, 1 to his mother, and 1 to the public. More than 1,000 reporters waited for Simpson's perp walk at the police station, but he did not arrive as stipulated. LAPD then notified Shapiro that Simpson would be arrested at Kardashian's home.
Well, Kardashian and Shapiro told Simpson this, but when the police arrived an hour later, Simpson and Al Cowlings had disappeared.
Oh, jeez.
The 3 sealed letters Simpson had written were left behind. At 1:50 p.m., Commander Dave Gaskin, LAPD's chief spokesman, publicly declared Simpson a fugitive. The police issued an all-points bulletin for him and an arrest warrant for Cowlings. It's on now, dude.
Everything that's happened so far, he shouldn't even have had a freaking trial. I mean, you got to have a trial, but...
They shouldn't even have let him turn himself in. They should have immediately went over there and arrested him.
Right. This is ridiculous. They found blood of his.
That matched.
They found a glove at each property. Both gloves are the same. There's blood in his freaking vehicle. He has a cut on his hand. He says he's going to turn himself in, but then he disappears. Oh, wow. 5 p.m., Kardashian and one of the defense lawyers read Simpson's public letter. In the letter, Simpson sent greetings to 24 friends and wrote, "First, everyone understand I had nothing to do with Nicole's murder."
Is that what you say when you have something to do with the
Right.
murder?
He described the fights with Brown and their decision not to reconcile the relationship and asked the media as a last wish not to bother his children.
He wrote to his then-girlfriend, Paula Barberi, "I'm sorry, we're not going to have our chance. As I leave you, you'll be in my thoughts."
Right.
It also included, "I can't go on," and an apology to the Goldman family. Why are you apologizing to the Goldman family?
Right.
The letter concluded, "Don't feel sorry for me. I have had a great life, great friends. Please think of the real OJ and not this lost person." Most interpreted this as a suicide note. Simpson's mother collapsed after hearing it, and reporters joined the search for Simpson. At Kardashian's press conference, Shapiro said that he and Simpson's psychiatrist agreed with the suicide note interpretation. Through television, Shapiro appealed to Simpson to surrender.
Right.
Sure he did.
News helicopters searched the L.A. highway system for Cowlings' white Ford Bronco. That wasn't OJ's board?
No, they had two identical ones.
At 5:51 p.m.,
I
Simpson...
think they had his in evidence.
Right. At 5:51 p.m., Simpson reportedly called 911. The call was traced to Santa Ana Fairway.
Or freeway.
Right, freeway near Lake Forest at around 6:20 p.m. A motorist in Orange County notified California Highway Patrol after seeing someone believed to be Simpson riding in a Bronco on the I-5 freeway leading north. The police tracked calls placed by Simpson on his cell phone.
At 6:45 p.m., police officer Ruth Dixon saw the Bronco headed north on Interstate 405. When she caught up to it, Collins yelled out that Simpson was in the back seat of the vehicle and was pointing a gun at his own head.
Yep, there it is.
The officer backed off but followed the vehicle at 35 miles per hour, with up to 20 police cars following her in the chase.
It was the slowest chase in freaking history.
Zoe Tur of KCBS TV was the first to find Simpson from a news helicopter after colleagues heard that the FBI's mobile phone tracking had located Simpson at the El Toro Y.
Oh, geez. More than 9 news helicopters. We got 9 helicopters.
Everybody, dude.
Eventually joined to pursue. Tur compared the fleet to Apocalypse Now, and the high degree of media participation caused camera signals to appear on incorrect television signals.
I'm sure it did.
Oh, my goodness. So it was just everywhere. You're watching SpongeBob or something, or Rugrats.
I don't know about SpongeBob, but...
Be Rugrats. The chase was so long that one helicopter ran out of fuel, forcing its station to ask another for a camera feed.
Jeez.
Knowing that Collins was listening to KNX AM, sports announcer Pete Arbas,
how do they know that?
Called Simpson's former USC football coach John McKay and connected him to Simpson.
Oh.
How the hell they know what channel he was listening to?
As both men wept, Simpson told McKay, "Okay, coach, I won't do anything stupid, I promise." Off the air, though. There is no doubt in my mind that McKay stopped OJ from killing himself in the back of that Bronco.
Damn right.
Arbogast said.
Yeah, I bet.
That's the announcer guy.
Right.
McKay reiterated on radio his pleas to Simpson to turn himself in instead of committing suicide.
Right.
He said, "My God, we love you, Juice. Just pull over and I'll come out and I'll stand by you the rest of my life."
Ooh.
Walter Payton, Vince Evans, and others from around the country also pleaded with Simpson over the radio to surrender.
Dang. I didn't know about this.
Oh.
Wow. So you got this guy, and you got all these freaking people. I mean, that's cool. Trying to save their homie. They know he's a murderer.
Do they, though?
I think they do. At Parker Center. At Parker Center, officials discussed how to persuade Simpson to surrender peacefully. Lange, who had interviewed Simpson about the murders on the 13th of June, realized that he had Simpson's cell phone number and called him repeatedly.
You don't...
Oh, wait, guys. I have his cell phone number.
Right.
A colleague hooked up a tape recorder up to Lange's phone and captured a conversation between Lange and Simpson in which Lange repeatedly pleaded with Simpson to throw the gun out of the window, OJ. What's his name? Orenthal. For the sake of his mother and children. For your mother and your children.
That's a little dangerous. You can just throw weapons out of the window.
Right. Well, unload it first.
Right. Simpson apologized for not turning himself in earlier that day and responded that he was the only one who deserved to get hurt and was just going to go with Nicole. Simpson asked Lange to just let me get to the house and said, "I need the gun for me." Collins' voice is overheard in the recording after the Bronco had arrived at Simpson's home, surrounded by the police, pleading with Simpson to surrender and end the chase peacefully.
Oh, wow. Think how the story would have been totally different if we blew his brains out in the back of that Bronco.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, my.
I don't think it would have been as big.
No. L.A. streets emptied and drink orders stopped at bars as people watched on television.
Dude, the whole country stopped.
Every television showed the chase. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. There was no Fox back then, so.
No.
And local news outlets interrupted regularly scheduled programming to cover the incidents. Watched by an estimated 95 million viewers nationwide.
Jeez.
Only 90 million had watched that last year's Super Bowl.
Jeez.
While NBC continued coverage of Game 5 at NBA Finals. Come on.
Well, they had it. Just keep going.
Oh, right. Yeah. Houston Rockets, man, they're going back to back. While NBC continued coverage of Game 5 of the NBA Finals between New York Knicks and Houston Rockets at Madison Square Garden, the game appeared in a small box in the corner with Tom Brokaw covering the chase.
So they had the chase was on the big screen,
Right.
and they had the game on the
game
small
on
box,
the-
dude.
I mean, New York Knicks in the finals.
I mean, the chase was covered live by ABC anchors Peter Jennings and Barbara Walters on behalf of the network's 5 news magazines,
Wow.
which achieved some of their highest ratings ever.
Well, obviously.
The chase was also broadcast internationally, with Gaskin's relatives in France and China seeing him on television.
Oh, shit.
Thousands of spectators and onlookers packed overpasses along the route of the chase, waiting for the white Bronco.
They did, too.
In a festival-like atmosphere, many had signs urging Simpson to flee.
They did, dude. It was weird, man. I remember watching the chase. Mm-hmm. It was like that. Spectators shouting, "Go, OJ, go!" The famous slogan from Simpson's Hertz commercial. Mm-hmm. And encouraging the actions of a possibly suicidal murder suspect outraged Jim Hill. Among those broadcasting pleas to their friend to surrender. Jack Ferreira and Mike Smith were among those watching the chase, not knowing why.
Okay.
They felt part of a common emotional experience, one author wrote, as they wondered if OJ would commit suicide. They were wondering, or he would escape, would he be arrested, or would he engage in some kind of violent confrontation? They didn't know what's going to happen here. Everybody thought that, right? Whatever might ensue, the shared adventure gave millions of viewers a vested interest.
Yeah.
A sense of participation. A feeling of being on the inside of national drama in the making.
Oh, they were.
Oh, definitely were.
Simpson reportedly demanded that he be allowed to speak to his mother before he would surrender. Chase ended at about 8 p.m. At his Brentwood estate, 50 miles further, where his son Jason ran out of the house gesturing wildly, and 27 SWAT officers awaited. After remaining in the Bronco for about 45 minutes, see, they let this guy do whatever he wanted.
Oh, he had a gun.
Simpson exited at 8:50 p.m. with a framed family photo and went inside for about an hour.
Oh, damn.
A police spokesman stated that he spoke to his mother and drank a glass of orange juice, causing the reporters to laugh.
Oh, no. Shapiro arrived. Simpson surrendered to authorities, and a few minutes later, in the Bronco, police found $8,000 in cash, a change of clothing, a loaded .350 Magnum that would have blew his frickin' head to pieces, a United States passport, family pictures, a disguise kit with a fake goatee and a mustache. Oh, jeez. Simpson was booked at Parker Center and taken to Men's Central Jail. Cowlings was booked on suspicion of harboring a fugitive and held on $250,000.
I'm sure OJ forced him.
Right.
The Bronco chase, the suicide note, and the items found in the Bronco were not presented as evidence in the criminal trial.
What?
Why? Marcia Clark conceded that such evidence did imply guilt, yet defended her decision, citing the public reaction to the chase and suicide note as proof the trial had been compromised by Simpson's celebrity status. It's true.
You ain't kidding.
Most of the public, including Simpson's friend Al Michaels, interpreted his actions as an admission of guilt, yet thousands of people encouraged him to flee prosecution and were sympathetic to his feelings of guilt.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, they were. Go, OJ!
Imagine if that wasn't televised or anything. We just found out about it. Dude, this dude would be guilty.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
all that would be evidence.
For sure.
Wow. 20th of June, Simpson was arraigned and pleaded not guilty to both murders. He was held without bail. Obviously, look what happened before.
Right.
Jeez. The following day, a grand jury was called to determine whether to indict him for the two murders, but was dismissed on the 23rd of June as a result of excess media coverage that could have influenced neutrality.
Yeah.
Instead, authorities held a probable cause hearing to determine whether to bring Simpson to trial.
Well, I think you got to now.
Right.
California Superior Court Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell ruled on July 7th that there was sufficient evidence to bring Simpson to trial for the murders.
Right.
You think so?
Yeah.
After a second arraignment on July 22nd, when asked how he pleaded to the murder, Simpson firmly stated, absolutely 100% not guilty.
I mean,
Jill Shively testified to the grand jury that soon after the time of the murder, she saw a white Ford Bronco speeding away from Bundy Drive in such a hurry that it almost collided with a Nissan at the intersection of Bundy and San Vicente Boulevard, and that she recognized Simpson's voice.
yeah.
How does she recognize his voice?
Like, he scream out the window or
He's like,
something.
get the fuck out of the way, motherfucker!
Let's kill two people! Go! She talked to television show Hard Copy. Remember Hard Copy?
Yeah.
For $5,000.
That's it. You could have got more than that, lady.
Right. After which prosecutors declined to use her testimony at the trial.
Yeah,
Obviously.
you can't do that.
Jose Camacho of Ross Cutlery provided store receipts showing Simpson had purchased a 12-inch stiletto knife 6 weeks before the murders. The knife was recovered and determined to be dissimilar. Well, similar don't mean anything. Determined to be similar to the one the coroner said caused the stab wounds. The prosecution did not present this evidence at trial after Camacho sold his story to the National Enquirer for $12,000.
So these guys are messing up the whole case,
The
dude.
whole freaking case.
Jeez.
Wow.
Well, tests on the knife determined that an oil used on new cutlery was still present on the knife, indicating it had never been used. So there goes that knife anyway. So that guy got $12,500 for nothing.
Yeah.
Former NFL player and pastor Rosie Greer visited Simpson on November 13th at the LA County Jail in the days following the murders. Well, that's
Right.
way beyond the murders. But
Right.
a jailhouse guard, Jeff Stewart, testified to Judge Ito that at one point Simpson yelled to Greer that he didn't mean to do it. after which Greer had urged Simpson to come clean.
I doubt that.
Right.
Get out of here.
Right. I mean, come on.
Judge Ito ruled that the evidence was inadmissible in court.
Of course it was.
As being protected because of the clergy pendant privilege. What's that? Oh, you can say anything you want to a clergy, just like a lawyer. At first, Simpson's defense sought to show that one or more hitmen hired by drug dealers had murdered Brown and Goldman because they were both drug addicts. All three of the motherfuckers. And Kalen. They're all four of them were drug addicts. Giving Brown a Colombian necktie because they were looking for Brown's friend, Faye Resnick, a known cocaine user who had failed to pay for her drugs. I mean, that's plausible. That's definitely plausible, man. Cocaine's
well, when you don't pay for it.
and you know it's not just $20.
Right. She had
talking thousands, probably.
Probably. She had stayed for several days at Brown's condo until entering rehab 4 days before the killings. Ito ruled that the drug killer theory was highly speculative, with no evidence to support it. Consequently, Ito barred the jury from hearing it and prohibited Christian Reichardt from testifying about his former girlfriend Resnick's drug problems. Well, that's not fair.
Right. Rosa Lopez, a neighbor's Spanish-speaking housekeeper, stated on August 18th that she saw Simpson's Bronco parked outside his house at the time of the murders, supporting his claim that he was home that night.
Oh, look at Rosa.
During cross-examination by Clark, Lopez admitted she was not sure what she saw at that time.
What time she saw it.
All right, what time she saw Simpson's Bronco, but the defense still intended to call on her. However, a taped July 29th statement by Lopez did not mention seeing the Bronco, but did mention another housekeeper was also there that night. The name? Sylvia Guerrero.
Well, prosecutors then spoke with her, who said Lopez was lying and claimed the defense offered both housekeepers $5,000 to say they saw the Bronco that night.
Oh, no.
When Ito warned the defense that...
Why would it be only $5,000? That don't make no sense.
Right.
OJ would have been like, I'll give you freaking $50,000.
Right. When Ito warned the defense that Garrett's claim, as well as the earlier statement did not mentioning the Bronco, and the tape where Clark claims that she is clearly being coached on what to say will be shown to the jury if Lopez testifies, they dropped her from the witness list. Yeah, they did that. They did that
quickly. Well, what's going on to what the media coverage had. When the trial began, all the networks were getting these hate mail letters because people's soap operas were being interrupted. You don't want to mess with General Hospital as the world turns, guys. But then what happened was the people who like soap operas got addicted to the Simpson trial, obviously, because it's a soap opera. And they got really upset when the Simpson trial was over. And people would come up to me on the street and say, God, I loved your show. Marsha Clark, 2010.
Their murders and trial, which were the biggest story I've ever seen, said a producer of NBC's Today, received extensive media coverage from the very beginning. Wow. At least one instant book was proposed 2 hours after the bodies were found. Holy crap.
Was Law & Order and all that already around back then?
Pretty sure, yeah. And scheduled to publish only a few weeks later. There's already a book coming out about it.
Oh,
the case was a seminal event in the history of reality television. I don't know if it's reality. I guess it is reality, but the Los Angeles Times covered the case on its front page for more than 300 days after the murders.
Dang.
Of course they did.
The nightly news broadcast from the big three television networks gave more airtime to the case than to the Bosnian War, who cares, and the Oklahoma City bombing. Wow.
Which didn't even happen yet.
Combined.
Jeez.
The media outlets served an enthusiastic audience. One company put the loss of national productivity from employees following the case instead of working at $40 billion. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno aired many skits on the trial. And the dancing, Marsha Clark got freaking raped on the comedy channels, dude. Anyway, Jay Leno aired many skits on trial. And the Dancing Itos, a trope of dancers dressed as the judge, was a popular recurring segment. According to Howard Kurtz of the Washington Post, the acquittal was the most dramatic courtroom verdict in the history of Western civilization.
I think so.
Was.
Participants in the case received much media coverage. Limo driver Park said the media offered him $100,000, but refused as he would be removed as a witness. So good man.
Right.
Fans approached Clark at restaurants and malls, and when she got a new hairstyle during the trial, the prosecutor received a standing ovation on the courthouse. On the courthouse steps.
I remember that shit.
People approved of the change, but advised her to wear more fitted suits and tailored skirts.
Wow.
Okay, people.
All right.
People magazine, that is not just regular people.
Right. Jeez, oh Pete. And she started wearing those skirts. Mm-hmm. Oh my! While Cochran, Bailey, and Dershowitz were that's a hell of a law firm there. The law firm of Cochran, Bailey, and Dershowitz. Is that what they were?
I don't know if it was a law firm, but
Right.
that was just 3 lawyers.
Right. These guys were already well known. Others like Kalen became celebrities.
Right. That was probably the biggest. That was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Cato.
Oh, definitely. And Resnick and Simpson's girlfriend, Paula Barberi, appeared in Playboy. Oh, geez. Who's Resnick?
Resnick is the drug addict, friend of Brown, and Simpson's girlfriend both appeared in Playboy.
So both these guys going to Playboy. Nice. Those involved in trial following their own media coverage when Larry King appeared in the courtroom after a meeting with Ito. Both Simpson and Clark praised King's talk show.
Okay.
OJ's like, I love your talk show. Marsha's like, you know what, OJ? I do too. Interesting, the case was worldwide. Russian President Boris Yeltsin. First question to President Clinton when they met in 1995 was, hey, do you think OJ did it?
Do you think OJ did it?
And Bill was like, I did not inhale. He's like, that wasn't the question.
It's not. It's 3 years from now, anyways.
Right. Right.
Do you think OJ did it?
He's like, well.
The issue of whether to allow any video cameras in the courtroom was among the first issues Judge Ito had to decide, ultimately ruling that the live camera coverage was warranted. Of course it was. Ito was later criticized for his decision by other legal professionals. Why?
Ito was coerced into his decision by the L.A. County Police Department,
Bill Clinton himself.
DOJ, Bill Clinton.
Right.
Oh, man.
Dershowitz said that he believed that Ito, along with others related to the case such as Clark, Furman, and Kaline, was influenced to some degree by the media presence and related publicity. Of course they were.
Cato Kalin did so many talk shows after this, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The trial was covered in 2,237 news segments from 1994 through 1997.
Jeez.
It was also criticized for allowing the trial to become a media circus and not doing enough to regulate the court proceedings, which is true. Among the reporters were covered. I know these. Was it a trial with jurors?
Of course it was.
Oh, dude, it's impossible. How does jurors not gonna watch media footage and get affected? Be biased.
I'm pretty sure the jury was sequestered.
Right, they
would have to be.
Right. Among the reporters who covered the trial daily from the courtroom and a media area that was dubbed Camp OJ
Jeez.
were Steve Futterman of CBS News, Linda Deutsch, and Michael Fleeman of the Associated Press, Dan Whitcomb of Reuters. Is it Reuters?
Yeah.
Reuters to me, that's what it looks like. Jeanette Gilmore of the LA Daily News, Andrea Ford of the LA Times, Michelle Caruso of New York Daily News, Dan Abrams of Court TV, Harvey Levin of KCBS.
I'm a lawyer.
And David Margolick of the New York Times. Writers Dominic Dunn, Joe McGinnis, and Joseph Bosco also had full-time seats in the courtroom.
Oh, Dominic...
Joseph Bosco didn't turn out to be a blue guy.
Dominic Dunn was in there. She writes all those little murder mystery shit. She was like, I'm getting some good info on that. I wonder how many books she wrote based on that.
She made Joseph Bosco give her his notes.
Right.
What note you got?
June 27, 1994, Time published a cover story, An American Tragedy, with a photo of Simpson on the cover. The image was darker than a typical magazine image, and the Time photo was darker than the original, as shown on a Newsweek cover released at the same time. Time became the subject of a media scandal. Commentators found that its staff had used photo manipulation to darken the photo. Well, no shit! And speculated it was to make Simpson appear more menacing.
Like in shadows or something. I get it. Right there. Yeah.
Obviously, they darkened the photo.
Right. I mean, so what? It's a magazine. You're allowed to do what you want.
He does look a little more menacing.
He does. He looks scary.
Scary guy.
Yeah. After the publication of the photo drew widespread criticism of racist editorializing, and yellow journalism.
No, not legitimate.
Right.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty yellow.
Right. Like today's MSM.
Right.
Time publicly apologized. They're like, we're sorry. But are we?
No.
They had their fingers crossed behind their back. Sorry, guys. Charles Ogletree, a former criminal defense attorney and current professor at Harvard Law School, he said in a 2005 interview for PBS Frontline that the best investigative reporting around the events and facts of the murder and evidence of trial was by the National Enquirer. Go figure. A parody freaking magazine, and these guys covered the trial.
National Enquirer was then's TMZ.
Right, but it was mostly all garbage.
Well, I know, but they did some dirty stuff to get their hands on
Right.
when I bet you if you look at National Enquirer's history, anytime like a big news story or whatever, they're probably were the first ones back in the day to get all that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Just like TMZ is
Right.
always the first one to get the
true.
dirt, dude. Always.
Yeah. National Enquirer messed up when they started posting the UFOs and the aliens.
Well, they were doing that at the same time
I
as
know.
this, though.
Right. That's true.
The Bat Boy and
Yeah, the
all
Bat
that
Boy.
shit, dude.
That's true. But supposedly the bad boy's real.
Why? Because National Enquirer told you so?
I think so. What was the other one?
It was like National Examiner, I think it was.
Right.
Or Star
Yeah,
Magazine.
Star
right?
Magazine. Yeah, I remember Star.
Well, that wasn't more like the National Enquirer. The National
Right.
Enquirer was.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, Examiner. I remember that. Well, and the Inquirer.
All right, that's going to do it for the first part of the O.J. Simpson murder case. That was obviously about the murders and the the famous Bronco chase. And
So far, everything points to OJ being high on crystal meth and murdering two people like he did on his film set. That's what it seems to me. That's what it seems to me.
Well, I mean, has anybody ever doubted that? I don't think anybody out there says O.J.'s innocent.
No.
I don't think there's one person that says he's innocent.
Well,
Ooh.
jury did.
That's true. There was 12 jurors that did. That's true. That's true. Yeah. So yeah, that was the part one. It was
I
only
think he went on to play in Naked Gun after that, or was it before?
no Naked Gun
It
was definitely before. He
Right.
did nothing after that.
Right.
Yeah, this episode obviously a little shorter. It's still 40-something minutes.
No,
but
we can't jump into what's happening next.
The next episode obviously is going to be the whole trial,
Right.
and then obviously the aftermath and
Right.
what happened to everybody and
We
stuff
can't
like
jump into the start of trial and then leave
that. Right, can't do some of the trial and be like, oh, that's it for part one.
Right.
Otherwise, this episode would have been legitimately like two plus hours. Not having that, but the next one will be an hour plus probably with all the stuff we got going on in the trial. 'Cause-
Definitely. We're not doing a 3-parter.
So with that, yeah, make sure you come back next week because it's about to get juicy with all the evidence getting introduced and the cross examinations and then the witnesses and all this good stuff. So it's gonna be a good stuff.
Wouldn't that be some shit when after his acquittal, like if he did an infomercial for knife set? It cuts through everything and it stays sharp.
It cuts through larynx.
Guaranteed to stay sharp for life.
It cuts through C3 vertebrae.
Stabs in the head easily. Look how easily it goes through this muskmelon.
We shouldn't be joking about this.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, of course we should.
Right.
That's going to do it for us. If you guys are interested in more American history, we do another show called Battles of the American Civil War, where, as the name suggests, we cover the battles of the American Civil War.
We do, not the Revolutionary or World War I or the American Indian War or
It's the Civil War.
the Civil War, guys.
We just finished up. Yeah, we just finished up 1861. Was our last episode that was just released a couple days ago. If you're hearing this on the day this comes out, we will be diving headfirst this Friday, every Friday, into 1862, arguably one of the bloodiest years of the war, probably the bloodiest year of the war.
Ooh-wee.
And
This is a year where everybody was like, dang, we're at war, guys.
this is real.
Oh, man.
If you're interested in that, go check us out, Battles of the American Civil War, or wherever you find your podcast. We'll be back next week for part 2 of the O.J. murder saga, all about the trial and the aftermath. We'll be back then. We'll see you then. We are the Mouth of Michiganders with
Bang, dang.